Thank you for joining us, the Sweet and Sassy Show podcast, Jen Carpenter and Molly Lowe. This episode will come out in the month of April by the second Friday. We talk about different topics that entrepreneurs and parents go through in entrepreneurship, all things parents and entrepreneurship to add value to our network. Our topic today is, are you a busy entrepreneur and dealing with the feelings of burnout? Now, everybody's gone through that at some point or another, most likely, whether that was in corporate career or entrepreneurship. Definitely easy to get burned out as a parent and as a partner and a provider. I was going to talk a little bit about kind of where I came from, and so Molly will also share. Do you want to do any sort of introduction to yourself today or anything exciting you want to share before we move on here? I didn't do our normal little intro.
No, but everybody knows me. I'm here to help you make money on LinkedIn.
There
Done.
you go. Plain and simple. Done. Jen Carpenter, business solutions and mind flow mastery coaching, basically just helping people be the best version of themselves and live in life with peace of mind and security and being able to have resources where you don't normally think you have options as a business owner, personally and professionally, and really just helping people be the best version of themselves and not allowing your past or current circumstances to define your present reality. All right, so here we go. Um, February 26th, which was not too long ago, was 5 years into entrepreneurship for me. When I decided to go into entrepreneurship, I was a stressed out, overwhelmed, anxious, and broke mother of a 2 and 3 year old. I come from the corporate healthcare world, so operating at the speed of light for 18 years straight did not serve me well. And I went into entrepreneurship out of a financial need, but I also knew that I wanted to make a greater impact on the world. Didn't know it would lead me to where I am today. So that's the beauty of possibilities and opportunity. You never know where things will go. Uh, what burnout looks like. I guess it's different for everyone. But that's just it, being stressed out, overwhelmed, anxious, and not being productive, successful, and fulfilled. Um, and actually just kind of what I said before, and it's when you allow your current circumstances to define your reality and just kind of sitting with that and not knowing how to or what is wrong or feeling like you can't make a different choice, kind of being stuck in that place when you tend to maybe take on too many things, whether that's in business or in life as a parent. And what it causes, obviously, is a lack of focus and inconsistency and not doing what you want to do for yourself. A lot of it is self-sabotage. Very often, self-sabotage is subconscious. We're doing things to ourselves that we don't even know that we're doing. Um, and then like physically, what it looks like, not just feeling anxious, stressed out, and overwhelmed. You could also be gaining weight, feel exhausted, terrible sleep. Maybe you're not eating well because you're burned out and stressed out. Maybe you're not self-sabotage again, taking care of yourself physically, mentally, putting yourself last, being a people pleaser, doing what's best for everyone else instead of what's best for you. Doing what's best for, again, maybe your partner, your children, maybe people on your team in your business, or if you're still in the corporate world, whatever, wherever that comes from. Um, to be like real and raw. I lived in fight or flight mode for about 4 years straight until less of the degree about 6 months ago. So I was in entrepreneurship all that time, but realistically, like living in survival mode. Some people don't even know that they're in survival mode when they're burnt out. And that had to do, I'll just give an example. When I did a year ago, October, leave my corporate job and my husband one day after another. I lost 25 pounds in 2 months without trying. And to again be real and raw, when you have super high stress and cortisol, your armpits stink. And you wake up in the middle of the night, usually at 3 a.m. Now, I'm not somebody that treats that stuff, but I can tell you I've experienced it. When I get stressed out, my armpits stink. It's totally true. It's high cortisol, like straight up signs of that. And again, you don't have to be an expert to treat these things or whatever. But, anyways, yeah, totally lost 25 pounds and my armpits didn't stink anymore when I eliminated the things around me that were that I was allowing, actually, that I was allowing to cause me stress and overwhelm. And that just leads you to deciding to make a choice, whatever that is, whatever that looks like for you, and taking control of your life personally and professionally. So that's a little bit about some burnout. How about your story in HR corporate world, Molly
Mm, mm. Yes, love all that. And I'm going to take, of course, an unconventional, maybe it's not so unconventional.
Lynn?
So for me,
I
burnout,
love this.
I know, right? Burnout for me was actually excitement.
Okay.
Okay. Like in this case,
Okay.
and let me explain.
Yes.
I didn't know I was burnt out at all. So I just continued with what I thought was the norm. Right.
Yes.
So that's what caused the like adrenaline, like,
Yes.
oh, go, 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 run, that kind of thing.
Yes.
But just as you mentioned, my body and my mind can only go so much so far. And so I want you guys to just think of, I am like the most super type A kind of person. I'm a problem solver, I'm an executor, I'm a doer, I fail fast, fail forward. I am not afraid of taking action. I mean, like when you want to talk about strategy, I am so heavily in my masculine energy that at one point, and here's the thing, right? Being in HR for 20 years, I was incentivized for burnout. So that's where the excitement
Yes.
came because I was
Yes.
like the adrenaline of getting promoted, getting bonuses,
Yes.
getting pay increases, right?
Yeah.
Climbing that corporate ladder as fast as I could, as high as I could was exhilarating
Yes.
to a degree,
Yes.
right? So when I started my business, it was like reprogramming and almost deconditioning myself
Yeah.
from wait, I don't have to like do this chaotic adrenaline type A run, go, go, go all the time. What?
Yeah.
What are you talking about? Right?
Hmm.
And that was that part of me that was like, all right, you no longer have anyone to hold you accountable except for yourself.
Yes.
And if you don't like this super go, go, go energy that is now mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally draining you, change it. That's your, it's all on you to change it, right? And that's when I started to, when I was working with my business coach, really understanding that harmonious balance that everybody has a masculine and feminine energy. That's the yin and the yang of what we talk about. And so now I've gotten into a point where no thank you. I really want, I still have a lot of room for improvement because I've been in corporate for 20 years.
Yeah.
My masculine strategy,
Yeah.
go, go, go,
Yeah.
is naturally the knee-jerk reaction of how I navigate business, right? But then there's times like today, which is a perfect example of just like, no, sit, stay calm, be present, be with yourself, allow and receive, right? I was just sharing with you that the sales call wasn't supposed to be a sales call. It was just to get to know you and organically became. So it was setting that positive intention out there while detaching any specific kind of expectation and truly allowing and attracting and allowing the conversation to go however which way it needs to go, right? And so like, yeah, burnout to me was at one point in my 20-year HR career exhilarating. It was exciting. It was like, this is, yeah, like, because I got external validation
Yes.
and tangible incentives
Yes.
like money
Yeah.
to be living on burnout. And so to reprogram that and say, no, that's not normal. That's not how we as human beings are created to function has been quite the journey for me.
I say it every time. You don't know what you don't know. You don't know how bad it is until you're no longer in it anymore.
Yeah.
So I completely resonate with all of that. And still to this day, I'm now 2.5 days in physical therapy at a much better pace, but still kind of operating at a fast pace, even within the best capacity that I can do that part-time. But I resonate with that because, as you said too, your business coach would tell you, it doesn't have to look like that. Even though this is the other piece of getting to burnout. So 2 years ago into entrepreneurship, I was operating still 8 to 12 hours a day, which I still believe, if you're going to be productive, you want to do whatever that looks like for you. Maybe it's super productive 6 hours a day. Maybe you work 12 hours a day, super productive, like whatever that looks like and whatever works for you. But in the very beginning, my coach told me, slow down. You're moving too fast, but still to be encouraged to be an action taker. Like you said, you're a doer, an action taker. Even 2 years into now, currently, he'll still tell me that. He's my business partner and a mentor still, and he still tells me, he'll text me, slow down, you're moving too fast. Do
Mm,
one thing at a time. I catch myself multitasking. That's how I had to multitask for 18 years straight. I do my best most often to not multitask anymore and do one thing at a time and do it well. It's one thing to do a whole bunch of things, but are you really doing any of it well? No.
mhm,
And what we tend to lack is um, focus and priorities. So if you're all over the place running at the speed of light, how well are you really focusing on your priorities or your business priorities? And as you said, it's you have to recondition yourself because you're programmed to operate at that speed. If you did it for so long, it doesn't go away in 2 years. You need to know the tools and the strategies of how to manage that and to slow down and do one thing at a time and do it well. I liked how you talked about masculine, feminine energy. When we first started doing this, we talked about that quite a bit, and it's really interesting how similar we are. I'm sure there's plenty of other women in entrepreneurship that aren't exactly our type, but it seems to be pretty common. We're doers, action takers. Um, I was very hyper independent, and very often and I still can be at times. That's a hyper independence is actually like a trauma response in some cases. I've had to learn to tap more into my feminine energy and also balance my head and my heart. That's the biggest thing I'm focusing on, really, even in my message in my coaching program, is that to be able to be logic minded and still trust that spirituality that you talk about often and leading with your heart. But to balance those two, you have to have both. You have to have a balance of the masculine, feminine energy and to be able to lead with your heart and still be logical. When we show up on our game to do business, we need to be in a rational, non-emotional state of mind. But then you got to deal with your feelings later, and you still have to prioritize yourself. So yeah, all of that totally resonated with me. Just to reiterate, being calm and present, and then allowing, attracting, and receiving, taking action regardless of the outcome. So I just wanted to reiterate all of that because that's really powerful stuff to pull out of what we're talking about. Um, as far as priorities, I just wanted to talk about um, taking an action item here from that. Like I said before, sticking to a schedule. It could be a loose schedule. Maybe you only have 3 or 4 priorities in your day. Maybe you work on 30-minute increments, very detailed to know exactly what you need to do. Sometimes one task is 5 steps, knowing what to do and making it work for you. So sticking to a schedule, whatever that looks like for you, using your calendar. You've talked about before, scheduling free time, making things fun, and having what I've implemented recently on a weekly basis is to make sure I have time for creative space. because I get lost. Even today, I got a little behind schedule because I stayed in creative space land a little too long. And I realized this goes to another thing, the things you enjoy. I considered like outsourcing some copywriting, stuff like that. So like it was a task that I didn't have to do as much anymore in business. But then I realized I actually really enjoy writing. So to allow that creative space into your business for doing the things you want to do, spending your time and energy where you want to. Um, and then I was like, you know what? I'll still kind of consider it, talk to the person, see what the options are in case later that's an option. But I actually really enjoy writing content. I enjoy creating content. I don't always love doing video, but here we are with a podcast, and I have a monthly event and a networking event and network all day on video and work virtually. So whatever. Um, all of those things that 5 years ago I could have never even imagined or pictured myself doing. Scheduling free, fun, and creative time is something I've recently implemented into my life, so that's a big thing. Would you like to add to anything else with all that before we go on?
Yeah, I think one thing that I'll add on that is with this journey that I'm walking on, being a lot more self-aware when it comes to productivity, is that productivity, of course, as an entrepreneur, we always want to tie productivity back to revenue generation, right? Like I feel like that's business 101 for us.
Yes.
But I think sometimes we also need to remind ourselves that productivity can also look not just in revenue and results in that way, but also who you're becoming.
Oh, yeah.
Is a result, right? And that's where my feminine energy struggle. I have so much resistance on, like, again, just being still, giving myself silence moments. I love that you talk about the creativity part of it. I too resonate with that. I love my CEO Mondays for that reason, is so that I
Yes.
can innovate, I can create. It's hard for me to want to delegate my content creation to someone else because that's my creative expressibility. I'm using my voice and I love
Yes.
that, right?
Yes.
And sometimes the results, especially if you're super type A like I am, it's not going to be in the revenue, right? It's really going to be more in like who you're becoming in the moment and actually sitting still with yourself, creating that safe space to
Yeah.
just be.
I
So,
love that. I love that. One of my friends told me a really long time ago that even before I learned more about all of this, she would just tell me, she'd be like, Jen, just remember to take some time to just be. And she told me that years ago. So being versus doing, and it's all about who you become in the process. I love all of that. That's a really fantastic result to have because actually going back to my original mentor when I started in entrepreneurship, he was the one that pointed out to me and that helped me realize I had learned that I stopped growing and learning, and I love learning and growing, and that also that I had the powers and the strengths within me to do something new and creative. And he sold me because he pointed that out in me. He goes, you've asked so many questions in three, like I'm very logic minded, three conversations before I said yes to doing what I was going to do in business with legal services. And he didn't convince me. It's just he was very, okay, I'll follow up with you in a week. We'll set up this time. And it was three conversations. I asked the most questions anyone's ever asked him. But in those conversations, and to this day, again, a coach, a mentor, whoever, it still stands out to me today that he made me realize that I loved learning and growing, and that I also love teaching other people and inspiring other people. And that was things that sold me on entrepreneurship and deciding to take control of my life. Um, when you are burned out, stressed out, again, it looks different for everyone, but it tends to be that it's kind of interesting because it still is the opposite of what you said. What I had originally written down, lack of motivation, determination, lack of will, all those things come into play, but maybe not for everybody, so very opposite spectrums of maybe being like hyper independent or just inaction. If you really are burned out, you're gonna doom scroll. You're gonna stay up late binge watching. You're gonna overindulge in things that aren't necessarily healthy for you. Um, There was something I was going to go back to with fun. Oh, I want to say one more thing about the scheduling because I was going to go back and I forgot. I have been lately with networking or events that are virtual. I've been making it more fun, trying to gamify things so it's more enjoyable, whether that's as a parent or in business, but this is business. I've been scheduling two things at the same time on my calendar and then deciding in the moment which one I wanted to attend. So I was like, oh, darn it, both of those things are at the same time. I threw them in my calendar. And then I was like, which one fits right now? What I'm doing, what feels good, um, and what would be most valuable to me in this moment. So, kind of a little fun thing. I have consistent events that I do attend regularly, but all these different, we're bombarded with so much information all the time. That's another part of it is you're on LinkedIn, there's newsletters, there's events, there's this, there's that, and you can't have shiny object syndrome and be like, oh, I'm going to do all these things because again, you're focused on income producing activity and getting results, generating revenue. So that was a fun way that I'm going to continue to incorporate, just like spin the wheel sort of thing. What feels good today? Um, I'm going to go back to this, but the other part was I have so many notes here. Um, okay, what this goes into the next part. So all right, I'll just go there. What I describe as, again, kind of more in the direction of like inaction. So, what I call slippage, going back to who you were before, what you used to do, the old self-programming, basically. And that looks like, again, self-doubt, self-sabotage, procrastination, what I call compromising commitment. That's allowing other people, to veer you from your course. You want to say, for example, today. My niece texted me, hey, I'm in McHenry near my house. I have an hour and a half wait for a car repair. Do you want to come pick me up so I can come to your house? And I was just like, can't do it. Can't do it. I am booked on my schedule. You're 5 minutes away. Can't do it. I thought about it. I thought about it and I had to stop myself. And, I just wanted to stick to what was best for me. So compromising commitment is allowing other people or the news or the society or this or that veer you from the course of your values, your goals, your schedule, doing what's best for you, all of those things. So minimizing that, compromising commitment, let no one and nothing stand in your way. Um, and then gaming, like making you kind of feel bad about it. So she didn't. Again, I would only allow myself to feel bad about it if I chose to do that. But I kind of did for a little bit. Kind of felt bad about it for a little bit. I'm like, God damn it, she's 5 minutes away, blah blah blah. But I decided and I know how to shift out of that. So like gaming is, allowing other people to make you feel bad about doing what's best for you. It comes up too a lot of times with family, friends. So it's all about just honoring and sticking to your commitments and truly having love, compassion, and integrity with yourself to stick to your commitments. Where would you like to go from there?
I love that. And let me just also share too that just like you've mentioned, burnout is a spectrum of how people respond to that, right? And for me, it is so now that I'm a full-time entrepreneur, it is that like, why am I procrastinating? Why do I feel this level of resistance in doing something that I know I want to do, but why? What is it, right? And so I think that I love that piece, and I love what you talk about of that commitment of just honoring who you are and what that is, right? And I still find myself slipping up, even though my Mondays are blocked off. I'm like, ooh, but they want me to talk on Monday and do a speaking event. Can I do that? And I find myself being like, no, 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 no. We can ask for a different day. We can protect Mondays. It's all right, right? And um, I love that you talk about the not having to. Only you can make yourself feel bad about that. It is really the perception on how you want to see things. So. What a wonderful reminder. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. Um, I want to tie it back to kids just because we're talking about it too. So,
Sure.
like, I cut my hours in PT in November. and I committed to 4 hours of working on my business instead. The first couple weeks, it was only two or three. It was this, it was that. And I knew that if I didn't do what I committed to, I wasn't going to get the results that I wanted in my business or spending more time on myself, whatever it was, all of those things. But um, we have to stick to our commitments when it comes to ourselves as well with the family. Again, my same mantra goes back to doing what's best for me is what is best for my children as well. So, um, having those reminders in place, those mantras in place, or having like a clear vision of what your goals are. If you know productivity wise, scheduling wise, you know what you're going to do in those 3 to 4 hours or on your Mondays. You have to stay committed to that, to commit to yourself. Otherwise, you're only hurting yourself. And that goes with what you said. We only allow other people to affect us. We only are really hurting ourselves when we make the choices that we make. Or I haven't done the best lately with my Pilates and stretching over the past week. I'm only hurting myself when I don't stick to those commitments, and we're only hurting ourselves when we allow other people to affect our choices, thoughts, feelings, and actions, and our emotions. And that goes into like reactive behavior as a parent or in business. Another example, something came up the other day, and right away I was just like, oh, that's more work for me. It was for business stuff. I was asked to implement something, and then I right away was like, because everything goes to this more work for me. I only have so much time. Well, I decided in the moment not to make a decision again. And it was an emotional time, so I decided it's not a good time to make a decision. I left it alone for the past 24 hours. And then today, I was like, you know what? What's the resistance on this? It's basically like, okay, yeah, it might be more work, possibly for short term, but what's the result I'm going to get if I do this? It's going to reduce less headaches and stress in the future. So I kind of left it alone. Another time where I decided to not make a decision and gave it the 24-hour rule. Didn't make a decision in the moment, thought about it. I was emotional, not a good time to make a decision. Leave it alone. And then the clarity came to me over 24 hours without having to drive myself crazy about it either and ruminate about it. I just had to question myself today. I was like, what's the resistance? What's really going on? That's a question I ask very often myself and my kids. What's really going on right now? And it was, yeah, you always think there's more work involved, but big picture, it's going to be less stress and overwhelm in the big picture. Um, with this in priorities, make a list of what makes you happy, what brings you joy. And my requirements for those things were that they're fun and healthy. Yes, it'd be super great to have a drink and smoke cigarettes and pot all day, but is that what's best for me? No. So I made a list of, and it ended up being honestly like 25 things. So, like, it's not just, oh, I want to take a hike because it's good for me. It makes me happy. I like being in nature. I like surrounding myself with people that are like-minded, connection, community. I made this whole list, and I just couldn't believe when you sit there and you don't even know what makes you happy anymore. Some people don't even know what they love anymore and what makes them happy. I couldn't believe how long the list was. So, if you're ever looking, whether it's business or personal, and you don't even know what to do anymore, just make a list of everything that makes you happy, what brings you joy, what makes you feel good. Define the requirements. Fun and healthy is the best choice. Any other thoughts on that topic?
That's fabulous. I will close it with this. I worked with a coach who the whole program was it was a 90-day program, and the whole program was honoring your commitments to yourself.
Yes.
And he said that's the root cause of everything. He's like,
Yes.
if you just honored what you said you're going to do for yourself, whether it's personal or in business,
Yes.
you build self-confidence and self-trust. And your subconscious mind responds to that because you are, it's all right. You know, it's the the actual crux to what breaks down your self-trust is when you continue to say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and you don't see it through.
Yes.
That is what truly breaks everything down, right? And I will just say, I love that you talk about the things that you love because, again, as a mom in business, if you were to ask me a little over 7 years ago when I started my business, who are you? I'd be like, I'm a mom and I'm a wife. And while those two identities are so important, it is not the only thing about me. Who am I, Molly, as a person? And I'm so, so happy that if you were to ask me now, I would tell you exactly all the things I love, right? The best way for me to spend my day is in a museum. Take me to a museum, especially if it has an Egyptian exhibit. Hands down, you're going to find me in there for hours, right? I love reading historical fiction novels. I love doing that. Oh, let's not forget walking at the lakefront. Just my feet in Lake Michigan, just wading around is so calming to me. And by the way, I actually love slow. I mean, I'm not a runner, so I'm more like a slow walker jogger. But I love that. Who would have known? I didn't, right? So it's important for us to say, these are the things that we like. This is how we go about being productive for ourselves in ways that is healthy and happy, as you mentioned. And it doesn't always mean that we have to lead by saying, I'm a mom and a wife. And while that's important, it doesn't have to be all of our identity.
Yes, yes. I'm just gonna add to this that pretty much everything too. Again, I've been honing my message, I've been honing my ideal clients more and all that. And everything comes down to identity, priorities, and focus, whether it's a lack thereof or figuring it out. Pretty much everything that I've honed in on, it's just lately, that's the constant reoccurring um words and pillars, if you will, that come up. Identity, focus, because it's a lack of identity that people tend to go in the wrong direction and they don't know who they are or what they want. It's a lack of focus. It's a lack of priorities when you people please, self-sabotage. It all comes down to the same thing, and we just all solve those problems in different ways. I won't get into the whole topic, but going with what we said with burnout, I just wanted to add we have a whole nother episode on it, but don't figure things out on your own. Ask for help. Be resourceful and look into things. Look, don't go spending too much time researching, ruminating, reading. But ask for help. Somebody out there's already done it before, whether that means attending an event for a skill that you need to improve. Again, I started a parenting type course called That Calm Mom, bringing calm to the chaos and helping. It's like an anger management program to a 9 module course that I put into place to improve what I need to improve with what I've been through personally to be a better version of myself, a better mother, a better me, all of the above. Pick one thing, take anything out of this episode or whatever you're dealing with, and pick one thing. Like, what's the one thing you want to improve? What's one action you can take to do that? So be resourceful. And then we always talk about, trusting your head and your heart. So learn from other people, take your own little research, go with your benefits and risks. What's the cost of not doing this? What's the cost of the benefits of doing it? And then check your intuition, and there's your answer. So, yeah, we covered a lot of amazing golden nuggets here today. Anything else, Molly?
No, I love it. I love it.
Very good. Well, thank you so much for all you've added. I really love where this conversation went today. Stay tuned for our next episode. They come out, like I said, the second Friday of every month. And we're talking about all things entrepreneurship and parenting. Maybe I'll just say, maybe if you leave a comment below on the YouTube video of anything you'd like to hear about. I still have a massive list of things that we've been going through for the past year and a half that we haven't touched on. But who knows? Maybe somebody will give us some suggestions of the
I love
needs of
that.
what's out there. So thank you all
Fantastic.
for joining us and have an awesome day.